Hi, I'm Kim Stanley, and this morning I'm excited to interview Jim Comer. Jim is a consummate speaker and speechwriter and author, and now memoir coach. And we're going to be visiting this morning about his upcoming memoir writing workshop. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning. It's good to talk to you.
Yes, absolutely. I'm excited to dig into this. Memoir writing is something that I think everyone should do as a downsizing specialist and a senior focused real estate agent. I work a lot with seniors and I hear fabulous stories, amazing stories about their life's journey. And I always think, wow, they should write that down. Wow, we should capture that. So, but tell me from your perspective, why is memoir writing so important?
First of all, I think almost everybody has a story. They may not realize they have a story, but if you have lived a long, full life, you've got stories that people would like to hear about, especially your family, your friends, your church community, and of course, your descendants down the road. There are things that you have experienced that no one else on the planet has experienced, and lessons that you've learned that would be wonderful to share with others. And it all started with me when I wrote my dad, I helped write my father's World War II book about flying B-17s over Germany. It's right here. It's called Combat Crew.
Wow.
He kept a journal when he was in England in 1943, and he flew B-17s, and he started in the year when 75% of the people on his base either were killed or captured or wounded. So he had great material, and he kept a journal after each of the missions. And we took that with us, those 1,000 pages, for the next 40 years. And when he retired, he and I helped to turn it into a book that did really, really well. It was a bestseller. And then later on, I took my own experience of being a caregiver and I wrote what it was like for that. It's called When Roles Reverse. And it was my experience of caring for both of my parents. And then later on, I decided to help other people tell their stories.
That's great. And I have that book, When Roles Reverse. It's a wonderful book. It's a humorous book because you have a lot of humor that you bring into everything that you do. But
That's true.
yes, but you were a caregiver for what, 14 years?
14 years. It's amazing. I was living in Los Angeles. I had a job working for a CEO. I got a call at 7 a.m. one morning, woke me up. It was from my parents' next door neighbor in Dallas. She had never called me in 30 years. And when I heard her voice, boing, I went awake and I knew the next sentence was not going to be good. She told me that my dad was wandering around in the front yard in a daze and she thought he was having a stroke. And he was. And he was caring for my mother who had early dementia. So suddenly, my life totally changed in a
Wow.
second. And I was the only surviving child. I ended up moving to Texas and caring for them for 14 years. It
Wow.
changed everything.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But boy, what a wonderful gift to give to your parents. And I'm sure you learned a lot in that whole thing. So yeah, and I
Well,
think that
it was also a gift to give for me because it allowed me to really show up for the people who I loved most in the world when they needed me.
yeah.
And I had not been the most unselfish person in the world up till then. So it really helped me sort of use those unselfish muscles I didn't know I had. And I
Yeah.
learned a lot about myself as well as my parents.
I
And
always
they
say,
lived to be in their late 90s.
oh my gosh, no wonder it was 14 years. I always say that caregivers are earning their angel wings because it's really, really difficult some days to take care of.
Yes.
It can be overwhelming. So kudos to you. And yes, I would definitely recommend that book. Absolutely. That's wonderful.
And as you said, I use a lot of humor because over those years, there were a lot of funny things that happened and things that my own mistakes and my own lacks and things that I didn't understand. And then I grew as a result of it. it was able, I was able to share that journey with people who are going to be making that journey in their own lives.
Yeah, yeah. And I think as we age, many of us are going that journey. I know I did with my mom, although it wasn't a 14-year journey. But yeah, you put your life on hold for a while to do this. Well, let's fast
You
forward
do, yes.
and talk about your workshop.
It's the memoir writing workshop. That's a simple way to put it. You see, over the last 15 years, I ended up writing books for people who wanted to share their story. The first one was with this lady right here, Mary McComb from San Antonio. And her stockbroker was a friend of mine, and he said this, he had this very interesting client with great stories, and she had too much time on her hand, and she needed to tell her story. So he put us together, and I worked with her. I think I maybe went down to San Antonio 8 times, 9 times over 4 or 5 months. And I took a tape recorder and I got all of her best stories. And we just had such fun talking about it. And I was able to get the things she really wanted to share and the wonderful photos she had. And we were able to do this in 4 months. And then I found a printer and we put the thing together. It was just 80 pages, but it was the best of her stories. It was what
Yeah,
she wanted to share with the world. And she was ecstatic with the results.
that's
And
got to
here's
be.
the funny part. About two thirds of the way through the process, she said, "Now, Jim, I just want you to know this. I want you to give the eulogy at my funeral because you know me better than anyone."
Oh my gosh. You probably did. You
And
probably did.
well, it was so funny. I said, "Oh, come on, Mary. I'm sure you want somebody from your family." And she said, "No, no, no, you." And 5 years later, on the day she died, her daughters called me within hours and said, "We want you to do the eulogy." And
That's
I did it.
who is this workshop for? But basically, it's for anybody who wants to tell the story of their life. And I'm going to pull up
Yeah, yeah.
an image of your. Let's see if I can get my mouse to work. There we go. So people can look at this. So it's June 28th through 30th. It is a 3-day event. And tell us a little bit about what people can expect as they go into this workshop. What does that 3 days look like?
Sure, sure. Well, first of all, I'm going to have a good long phone call with everybody who's going to sign up so that we can get them prepared before they come. I want them to be thinking about the key events in their life that they want to talk about and what they learned and how they grew. And I want them to talk about great experiences, tough experiences, successes, failures, funny things, just whatever they want to talk about. And it's not necessarily an autobiography. A memoir is a slice of your life, it's the slice you want to talk about. For my dad, his was completely covered it covered 6 months when he was in England flying over Germany. He didn't talk about the rest of his life. The whole book was based on those 6 months. Other
Yeah.
people will have a longer period of time, but everyone is different as to what they want to cover. And what I will try to do is to help them isolate and see the parts that are most important. And then when we get into the workshop, we're going to take their life and we're going to divide what they want to talk about into chapters. Say they've got 10 or 12 chapters that cover the key parts of their lives. We get
Mhm.
those things organized, and then we go through each chapter, and I'll get them to help identify what are the key points under that chapter. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 things under each chapter that they want to cover. And by the end of the second day, or even halfway through the second day, they have got a roadmap to their book because they've
Wow.
got the chapters, they've
Yeah.
got the key stories under each chapter. And then here comes the fun part. Starting on the second day, we're going to get out the good old, the iPhone. I'm going to turn on voice memos and I'm going to interview them in front of the group. And I'm going to show them how you don't have to be a great writer necessarily to do your book. You can
Yeah.
be a great talker. And we'll get them talking. We'll take one of those chapters and several of those key points, And I'll interview them about that and let them talk as much as they want to. And I'll ask questions and go deeper at points. And so at the end of, say, 45 minutes with me, they'll have a big chunk of that chapter recorded. And then we'll send
Wow.
it off, turn it into a transcript. So within one day, they're going to have a transcript of the interview that we just did. And they can see there, right there, there's the beginning of their book. Because you can
You know
take
what?
that transcript, clean it up, edit it, and there you go. There's
Yeah.
a big
You know what
chunk
I,
of the
you
book
know what I
right
love
there.
about this? What I love about that is it's so
And
customized.
it's in their own words. It's not in my words. I
Yeah.
don't want them to hear me at all. I want the reader to hear only
Yeah.
their unique voice.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. Their unique voice. So, and
Yeah,
so this is
because
going to be an yeah, it's going to be an
you
in-person
pardon?
event, right?
It
So
is. This first one is going to be in person. I may decide to do some on Zoom later on. I just want to see how this first one goes,
yeah,
and then we'll see from there what we need to add or take away. But the most important thing is by the time they leave at the end of the third day, they're going to have several sessions with me and with other people in the group where they're actually interviewed and telling their story.
wow,
So they
that's
can
awesome.
see right away how easy it is to work with a tape recorder, a voice memo on your iPhone, and get it down.
Yeah, I think that's right. When you said talked about a roadmap, we all need a roadmap. I mean, writing a book is a big project, and knowing where to start, just like when I say downsizing is a big project, but knowing where to start makes all the difference. But writing a book, if you have a
Sure.
roadmap and if you have a guide, like you are an expert guide. I know this because I
Well,
know
thank you.
you. You're an expert guide, and boy, people just they couldn't go wrong signing up for your class. Now, whereabouts will it be held?
It's going to be at a hotel here in Austin. In fact, I'm hoping this afternoon to sign the paperwork, but it's going to be in a conference room of a hotel here in Austin.
Oh, great, great. Is there anything else that you would want to share with people about people that are thinking, well, I don't know, and I know there's a fee for this, but they can ask you more questions and either call you or
Yeah,
email you.
yeah, the thing is, if they're interested, they can go to my website and they can click on the place where it says apply to participate, and they can there go and get on Calendly, and they can pick a time and a date to meet with me for a phone conversation, no charge. And in that conversation, I can find out more about them and what their story is and what they want to talk about. And my guess is that everybody that's listening to this right now has got a story. You've got one. You
Yeah.
just may be too humble to think that you've got one, but I assure you that you do. Because if you've been married, you've got a story. If you've got kids, grandkids, neighbors, dogs, you got a story. If you've been
Yeah.
in the service, you got a story. College, fraternity, all the things that make our life.
This is the email address for anyone who's watching. It's www.thememoirwritingworkshop.net. And go ahead and go on that and book that call and then see if this is the right thing for you. And yeah, I am really excited for this. And it is limited to 10 people, right?
I would say it would be like 8 to 10 people, so that
Yeah,
so we don't have too many people. Everybody gets individual attention, and then
right.
there'll
That
be
that
follow-up calls. There'll be follow-up calls later on to see how they're doing.
yeah, and so you can kind of help coach them after the fact a little bit. That's great.
That's
All
right.
right. Well,
The main thing is for people not to say, "Oh no, this is not for me. I'm not big enough. I'm not important enough." That simply isn't true.
yeah, awesome. Awesome. Well, Jim Comer, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me this morning.
Oh,
And I am really excited to share this with everybody else. So,
great.
everybody
I
start
appreciate
thinking
you
about your
doing this.
life. Yeah, think about your life, and your life is worth writing about. So, thank you, Jim. Take care.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed it.